Are you on?
I'm not. There. Now I am.
We're on this
okay.
one.
Ooh.
All right. Cheers, everyone. It is.
Hello.
Here we are.
So we probably should wait till we see some people.
Oh,
Wait to see some people join us here.
you're live.
Mm-hmm.
Start building an audience. Do you think they can hear us?
Oh, I'm sure they
Like,
can
is
hear
it-
us.
is
Yeah,
anyone
Just
can
make sure
hear
you
us?
project a little bit.
Speak up, yeah. Don't be shy.
We may get this actually down where no one's watching. We can just talk about whatever, and you guys can all watch later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just post us on YouTube. We'll go viral.
Second week, second time. That's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at the Wine Bistro in Worthington.
Mm-hmm.
Great
Not a
place.
cave.
Great location, not a cave, not a castle.
No.
Even though it kind of looks like it. Better lighting this week than last week. Oh,
Sorry, I did
there it is
too.
again. Yeah, see, I'm the only one not doing it. My phone may ring though because, I'm just that busy realtor. So,
Busy bees. I don't know what that was.
you're so gangsta. Anyway, so you guys will have to tell us if you can hear us or not because I know we're a little bit further away from the cameras this time, just due to the setup we have going. So today we were going to talk about selling a house, how to get ready to sell a house. We've got a special guest star, TJ, on screen this week rather than in the background making faces at us, passing wine glasses on the down low and all that fun stuff.
It was nice to have him fill up our wine, though.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was.
But
So
now
pace
we're
yourself
hopefully
this
a little
week.
bit more full. It's Wine Wednesday. Like we said, this is going to be the typical wine on Wednesday and talking about real estate. So we're here to answer any questions you all might have. Today's topic is selling a house. So we have ideas written down again. Bear with us again. We're going to be reading stuff because it's live and that's just,
And let's face it, our memories aren't what they used to be.
No.
No. Yeah. So, I don't know where we should start. What do you guys think? I mean, when I get a phone call from a potential client or from a client, past client, who was a buyer and now wants to sell, they usually have questions about a lot of different things. What do you find is the first or maybe the biggest question that you would get?
What can I sell my home for?
Yeah, right. Always
How much
price.
money can I make?
And isn't
Always
my house
price.
the best one in the world?
It always is.
Yeah.
Hey, Vicky.
So, I get the same question. I think we all do. What can I sell my home for? Is obviously number one, and we're going to get to that. We're going to build up to some tips. I think to make the most. I think that's what everybody really wants. Is hi Edie, hi Bertha. But everybody wants to know how can I get the most from my house.
Right.
But that is the first question usually. Okay, what can my house really sell for? So
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors with that. I mean, it's not just, I don't know, I usually find location and condition are going to be what factors in that, but it's also what's the market value of everything around you. Obviously, as real estate agents, I mean, what are we looking at when we go to a listing appointment? And that is the first question. What can I sell for? Typically the most important question.
Well, I think it's, let's look at what's going on around you, but then more importantly, though, we have to be able to look at your house. I mean, you can give a general market analysis based on square footage, bedrooms, and location, but unless we actually get in the house and we see it and we see what's going on, we can't give it true value.
Right. Yeah.
Because if your house is piled knee-high with clutter, that's going to make a huge difference.
Right. Yeah.
as much as people don't want to admit it, I think as much as your house is beautiful and it has shiny new appliances and all that stuff, but if it's covered up in clothing and the appliances have dirty food all over it, and it's as much what's in your house as it is your house. And think about if you've gone and looked at houses or you watch HGTV and everybody's like, if you spend $1,000 here, $1,000 there, what can I sell my house? Can I sell it for more?
Right.
Then?
Right.
So that leads us to, I think, one of the most important things is, if you're going to move, we all have basements full of stuff that are, in boxes that we haven't seen in years. So, one of my first pieces of advice is just start getting rid of stuff. Get rid of those
Absolutely.
things.
Purge unwanted stuff. And it kind of leads to 2 points on our list. Purge unwanted stuff and clean.
Yes.
Because it makes a difference.
Yes.
We understand you're living there. Everyone coming to see your house understands there's life going on and living there. But that does really affect when a buyer comes in your home. Were you ready for a showing? I mean, things happen, but you kind of have to stay on top of that the entire time you listed.
And, if you want a head start, there's some great companies out there that can come and do a top-to-bottom spring cleaning of your house for really a reasonable fee.
Right.
And if you can do that, it may be worth it just to give you a leg up, and then that way all you have to do is day-to-day maintenance.
Well, yeah, and on that note, the number one thing that people are going to, turn their nose up literally at your house is if it smells, and pet smells, dirty smells, food smells.
Mm-hmm.
That cleaning is obviously very important. And there's also companies, charities or haul it away places that if you've got stuff you just don't want, find ways to repurpose it, donate it, furniture, clothing, all those things, and just you don't want to move it twice. If you're going to move it to your other house and then get rid of it, you might as well just get rid of it before you move.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it's hard as a real estate agent because when we're going into a house, most oftentimes it's not, people understand, they're getting ready. They're cleaning, they're boxing things up, they're paring down, but we don't want to be offensive either and go in and say, oh my gosh, you've got to do this, clean, the whatever it might be. I mean, sometimes, like pets have a way of being a little invasive in life. I mean, there's hair, there's smells, there's, all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
So I think as a seller, you probably have a grasp on, what may need to be done, but truly don't be offended or upset if we come in and say, maybe you need to do this, maybe take a look at that, because we're just trying for you to get the most from your house to the most money that you can get, maximize.
So real quick before you go any further, we forgot to mention, it's in the description of the group, but leave a comment. We'll try to address it as we're going here. But once we're done, we're going to select one person from the three of our pages to win a $25 Wine Bistro gift card. So leave a question. I see Debbie. Hi, Debbie. I see Amy. So, but yeah, please leave a question in the comments. If you leave a question, then we're gonna select one of the people who asked the question randomly to win the gift card to Wine Bistro.
Yeah. So not only are you learning, but we're having fun too. Cheers. Cheers to that.
Wine wins.
And if we don't get to your question, we can always answer it in the comments later.
Right. Exactly.
All right, so now you purged your stuff.
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah, Jenny's daughter just joined, so she's starting off young.
Oh, look, it's our most liked video to date.
Whoa.
Number 2. This is the best one. Wow. Woo! Thank you all. So anyway, back on topic.
Yeah, so you've purged your stuff. You've called a realtor, one of us, someone that you trust, and they've come through your house. So other than the purging, what are some common things that you'll go into a house and you'll tell someone that needs to be done? Do they need to rip out their kitchen and start over? Or
I always find there's a balance with that too. I mean, people getting ready to sell don't want to overhaul the entire house. They are not looking to do an entire kitchen redo or bathroom redo. There's always those questions. What can I do to improve things? Do I need to? I don't know. Painting is a cheap, inexpensive way to really improve things. I think going neutral. What's a great color for you? That red wall, focal point. I mean, you love it. I love it. I think it's a beautiful color. But someone coming in, a buyer coming in, is going to look at that wall if it's not their color, and they're going to think, oh, that's a big wall I have to paint.
Yeah, and not only paint it, but use 4 coats of paint to cover the red.
Exactly.
So paint, obviously, it's such a cheap, easy, it's work, but it's a cheap, easy thing to do that's probably going to give you a good thing to work on. So.
Alex, your house is not always for sale. You just closed on it. Come on. You just
but if he wants to
sell
again. He gets it. He gets it. What about flooring? Like when people ask about flooring, do you guys how do you answer that? What do you typically suggest?
If it's wood floors, having done wood floors in the past, try to just take some vinegar and water to just a capful of vinegar to a gallon of lukewarm water and mop that floor good. If you don't use that, and hopefully my dad doesn't watch this, you can. There are products out there that you can put over your floor to give them a shine. Don't wax them.
Okay.
But Bona makes a great product.
I've heard that
there are others
before.
out there, but
Yep.
check and make sure that it's not high gloss, because if it's high gloss, as you get traffic through your house, it will show every scratch.
Okay, right.
But there are easy
Right.
ways to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone, say they have the, say a lot of times I find there's a lot or anymore, but they have probably not been updated since being built. So they'll have that, vinyl flooring throughout. Would you suggest someone redo that? I mean, depending on condition, what's normally, because, going into it, I always come as an agent.
All right, Jenny,
I'm back.
Jenny went back. Jenny went to cellular, and
I'm using my data.
Cellular data instead of Wi-Fi. So if you swipe down from the top,
that's
actually from the bottom up. I'm sorry. Right.
This
just
only
get
has
off the Wi-Fi.
Oh, you only have Wi-Fi? You don't have cellular?
Sorry for the glitch.
We're too busy selling houses to get fancy with our technology.
That's
I
true.
know, right?
That's true. Hey, I have a question. Not necessarily for you, but for anyone out here. Would you be open to a Facebook Live house showing, or
Oh, good question.
let's go see a house and do a little, get you on Facebook, or is that too much? Anybody ask? See if you have
Michelle-
any questions while we're paused waiting for Wayne to
Michelle
connect.
says she wants to start the process for efforts to refi under terms she can live with or falling short. So how did she start the sale process?
I'll come to your house. Let's talk. So that's kind of what we're talking about. How do you start the process? Get in touch with the agent that you, through referral. Obviously, I'm going to tell you to call me because, TJ's great, Wayne's great, anyone at 43 Homes is great. Mm-hmm. But it's a really simple process to start. We come, we run the comps for your neighborhood, for your area, for your home. Talk about pricing, what you're comfortable pricing with, what we're comfortable, as far as what the home we think would be a good price to sell for. I alluded to it before, but I find with pricing is location and condition. If you have location and condition, price is not going to matter. If you are lacking maybe in the location, if you're lacking in the condition of the house, and that doesn't mean, that it's falling apart or that it's maybe it needs painting done. Maybe the condition is the area around you. Maybe
Michelle says, come on over.
Okay. I'll be there today. No. Text me. I'll text you for a time later. But we could talk then about what needs to happen. But it's a really simple process. As far as listing, you could even list tonight if you wanted. It's not, obviously there's pictures, but
but keep in mind, it's also not one of those high pressure sales situations. So it's not like we're going to come into your home and if you don't sign with us now, then next time it's going to cost you even more to sell your home, or we'll price it for $10,000 less.
It's rather like the buying process. Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. We work on your timeline when you're ready. It's we come in, and with that being said, as far as sales, when we're looking at the comparable properties for pricing, it's 90 days back or so, depending on what we can find and what's available. So, that can factor in with pricing, but it's, it's your timeline whenever you're ready. So, but bring wine. I will bring wine. Would you like to try what we're drinking today? Which is, TJ?
Today we are drinking a Pizzero, Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio.
There you go.
There it is. That's the
Courtesy
brand.
of the Wine Bistro.
Wine Bistro. So whoever wins that gift certificate, be sure to ask for that one, and you can have what we were having too.
Yes. So again,
great questions.
If you missed earlier, we are giving away a $25 Wine Bistro gift card. So please.
So Michelle's entered.
Yes. So Michelle is high odds of winning right now. So if you wouldn't, mind, ask a question. then let's go. She answered as well.
Okay. She's
And
a
I'm
red
back,
girl.
so.
She's a red girl. She said.
Okay.
I can do that too. Usually on camera though, we'll do the white so we don't get that.
They probably
Right.
have 500 bottles to choose from, so you tell her what kind of red, and I'm sure she'll make it happen. So.
What upgrades do you suggest to get your home sell ready? That's from Annie Rogers.
Very good question.
And actually, I have a question. I have an answer for Annie too, because I told you guys before last week on our broadcast, someone had left a question. It was actually Annie's husband who was asking, and it goes to selling too. So we'll address that as soon as we talk about this. But yeah, as far as upgrades, what we were kind of talking about that when our cameras went down, but let's get back on that topic again. So.
So, personally, we talked about paint. Paint is number one. Neutralize your paint.
Neutral.
And so, I once told a client to neutralize their paint, and they didn't consult me with colors. And I walked into the house and I found a white house. I mean, literally the entire house was white.
Wow.
And I
And
thought,
not that white houses
wasn't,
are bad, but
but if you accessorize it correctly, I
Yeah.
mean, that can work well.
Yeah.
So, one of the hottest colors right now is a gray. Gray
Greige.
is in. Greige, yes.
Greige.
Yes. So like a light gray somewhere between, like a beige and a gray.
Mm-hmm.
Hot color right now. And it goes with everything. So, that's a good color, I think to consider.
absolutely.
And you can save time if you buy the paint and primer in one.
Yes.
Right.
It's really is worth the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't skimp on the paint. That's a good point.
So, like I said before, I wouldn't normally suggest a full kitchen overhaul. I mean, you're looking to make money on the sale of your home. Obviously, that's the biggest concern sellers have.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I don't know, painted cabinets, is that even too much? I mean, depending on the condition.
I will say, so I recently sold my house, and we had the vintage 1986 oak cabinets that were standard issue back in 1986. And we spent probably, I think we paid someone about $1,500 to come in and paint them, and we put hardware on them. And honestly, it looks straight out of the showroom.
Oh,
the
sure.
factory.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Now they did it right. So don't just go down to the local hardware store, pick up a gallon of paint, go back and start slopping it on, because that's not going to do you any good.
And that's a lot of work too. So it may not be something that you want to take on yourself too at that point.
Right.
I mean, I've heard horror stories of people getting it done. It's probably worth hiring a professional at that point to get it done. We talked about flooring too. You can get inexpensive carpeting.
Mm-hmm.
Vinyl flooring, still there's a lot of great options with vinyl flooring. If your kitchen flooring may be a little worn, or the bathroom flooring, I always find it's interesting. I don't know, working with the buyers are always looking for very high end. The stainless steel appliances right now are very trendy. Very, they want the neutral colors. They want newer. And sellers, it's the opposite. I mean, maybe you don't want to invest so much money in the upgrades. I don't know that you want to go out necessarily and buy all brand new appliances at that point. What do you...
Well, I don't think you would get your money back on new appliances, but what you can do, if you don't want to do the work and you realize that your carpet is still from 1980,
it's worth the investment.
Give an
at that
allowance.
point. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Give a flooring allowance or give an appliance allowance and say, you know what, this is our asking price, but we'll give that allowance so that you can do this on your own.
Right.
I have a comment about that.
Okay. We'll hop in
Give
over
me
here
a
real quick. Oh.
Carry on and I'll get back.
Carry on. Sorry for the technical difficulties we're having. Wayne, TJ and I went to using data, but Wayne's still on the Wi-Fi with his iPad. So
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So now we're just trying to get everybody lined up. So again, this is because it's live. You just have to bear with us sometimes.
This is live TV, folks.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, has no sound. I'm sorry, you're missing a good one, Season. Missing a good one.
So on the credit note, so that is a very valid option, especially if like your entire upstairs, the carpet is dead, and now you're gonna have to move every piece of furniture in your upstairs
Right.
to do it. I mean, that's the thing that I think prohibits a lot of people from doing it, and I totally get it. Having that been said, if the carpet is, I mean, someone, even though you're offering the credit, I do think it hurts your value of the house not having it replaced
Right.
prior to showing it, because it's another one of those things that they come in, and even though you're offering this credit, some people may love the fact that they can go choose their carpet and they may see it as a benefit. Others are going to see it as a deterrent, not want to do the work, and then they've already kind of tuned the house out because they went in and it didn't look fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a reason home builders spend tons of money to upgrade those houses to the max, and spend tons of money to put furniture and stuff in it, because think about walking through a house. It's emotional, and people walk in and they either feel it or they don't.
Right.
So I do agree that is a very valid option in some circumstances. But I also do think that it will be reflected in your price if you don't do it.
Right. Absolutely.
Condition aspect. I had a thought and I lost it. Golly. Hate when that happens.
So, what else as far as getting your house sold?
No, I lost it again. Sorry.
That happens.
It does. That's just
so. Getting sell ready. What other? So the other thing I can think of cabinet wise is hardware. Even so, I had a client that just listed.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah,
right.
They had the oak cabinets, and they just took a few extra dollars and time to put hardware on the cabinets. And I tell you, if they had told me before they did it, and that's what they were going to do, I would have probably said paint the cabinets and put the hardware on. But I tell you, putting that hardware on made a huge difference. And so I think that is also something you can do that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Right.
But will make a difference. So.
Kitchens and bathrooms, this was the thought. I knew it was going to come as soon as someone started talking, because I didn't want to interrupt and I would lose it again. But kitchens and bathrooms are going to be the top end of what buyers are looking for as far as what they want upgraded and what they want the most bang for their buck. And so any improvements you can do there, I would think if you have money set aside to improve, or if you're even thinking about spending money on improvements, that's where you probably want to concentrate.
Yes. Yes.
But painting's important too.
I think most importantly, clean.
Yeah.
Nice fresh paint that's not got scuffs and mars all over, your walls aren't all marred. And then, flooring. And the kitchens and the bath, again, don't go rip the kitchen out unless, talk to a realtor before you make that kind of decision, because there are instances where it may be the best thing to do, but 9.9 times out of 10, that's not going to be the case.
Right.
I think. Anyways.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely, before you start making any improvements, I would have an agent come in, have that discussion. Let's talk about, and have multiple agents come in and talk and see, what each one is saying, because we all have different ideas, we all have different thoughts on that, and it may be something is more in line with what you're thinking, as opposed to someone coming in and saying, "Oh no, you're going to get this entire place."
Yeah, and we're not going to come in and compare your house to
$500,000.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to look at your neighborhood, and we're going to see what's going on in your neighborhood. When we make our recommendation, for you. I don't think that, we got to have an apples to apples comparison.
Right.
And if houses across the street are selling with linoleum floors and unpainted cabinets, and they're getting a good price that you find acceptable, maybe that's
by all means.
Maybe that's the way you go. This is a seller's market. We just talked. How many houses are for sale right now?
It's over 400,000?
Or 4,000?
Or 4,000.
Yeah.
Wait, 400,000.
Then it would be a
We're in
buyer's
trouble,
market.
Yeah.
Which we're not. Yeah. Would you? I think you said 4,400.
Yeah, like
so
right
we're
around
still,
4,400.
Yeah,
so.
it's a little bit more than the report I ran last week, because it was about 43 something, close to 44. But yeah, so there's definitely a need for listing. So that's why we wanted to cover this topic today, because the market is starting to ramp up. I mean, it is, buyers the holiday season is over. It's the new year. It's getting to be that spring season when everything is going to really start hopping. So definitely, if you're at all considering selling for 2017, I think it's worth having that conversation with us. Hey, Jeremy, and let's sit down, let's talk, let's take a look at everything. I mean, we need to see your home in order to be able to give you the best information possible. I know that there's a lot of ads run, and I run one myself for free CMA, which is the comparative market analysis. Without seeing your home, it's really hard to be able to give you a value that you can sell for. We can give you a range, and it's based on what everything is selling around you for, but without seeing the condition, location, and all those wonderful things, there's really no way we can give you a set price. So it's something that we would need to come. You need to have an agent come in, and come in and go from there. So,
and we'll give you those scenarios, right? If you do this to this, I think sometimes you see these reports where there's this magic number people throw out there and say, if you replace your cabinets or you remodel your kitchen, you're going to get this kind of return. I don't see it so much as working that way. Yes, we can increase the price, based on improvements. But what it's going to do is it's really just going to give someone an emotional connection where they're going to be willing to pay a higher price. And I don't know that we could do a dollar for dollar, interpretation, but we can tell you, you're going to get more money for this house if you do this, 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 and this. But again, to look at your house and compare it to what's going on in the neighborhood, is probably the most important thing I think we can do.
Right. And with all that being said, I think a point to make too is that the amount of money you spend on improvements is not necessarily going to be reflected in the price if nothing else around you is going to be, at that level too. It's
you don't want to over-improve for your neighborhood.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, don't do that.
That's just money you might as well take and throw it out in the street and let someone else pick it up.
I mean, we just talked yesterday about a house in a neighborhood where everything is going for $150 to $175, and they over-improved the house
way over,
and tried to sell it for twice the value. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
And so in this market, in the seller's market, you're pretty much in the driver's seat. You can pretty much name your name your price, but you need to be realistic, because ultimately if you start naming crazy prices, it's not going to appraise and you're going to have problems. So but there are instances where that stuff won't matter, and that's also stuff that we can talk about. But so let's talk about pricing. So
hang on.
Okay. We have a question.
We have a question.
All
yeah,
right.
Jeremy caught the tail end of it, and so we're just going to go back and revisit. But yes, bathrooms and kitchens are going to be the places where my opinion, and probably most agents' opinion, is where you're going to want to spend the most money in improvements if you have money set aside or you're thinking about doing improvements. That's usually what buyers want higher end things for. With that being said, those are also usually the most expensive improvements you can make.
So talk to your agent, talk to Jenny,
right?
And before you go spending thousands of dollars, talk to your agent and see what the agent says. I think is the most important when it comes to kitchens and baths, in particular.
Right. Exactly.
Looks like there's a question, but it's probably a topic for more of a later one, is why should we use an agent rather than for sale by owner? I think that's a whole new can of worms.
That's actually, I think, a really good question.
I think so too, because I think that with the market the way it's been, with the seller's market, there are definitely people who have benefited from selling by owner, and that is a question that obviously we like to address, because coming from the agent perspective, we have a much different opinion on that. So, what are your thoughts on that? What do you guys think?
Good.
Well, personally, first of all, selling a house is probably one of the most emotional things you're going to do. So putting yourself at an arm's length from the other party can't be underestimated. And I've been through for sale by owner transactions, and I've seen how an owner could botch, this whole process, because not having an intermediary that does this, we do this every day. This is our daily life, and so we've been through it and we know what to expect. Secondly, as an owner, do you know all of the legal things that you have to do to protect yourself? Not necessarily even just in the transaction, but down the road. There are property disclosures. There are, how to work with your title company. all these things that could potentially come back to bite you, that if you don't address before that property ever makes it to the closing table, you may very quickly come back to regret it, and the little bit of money you saved not hiring an agent quickly goes by the wayside because you didn't do the things that you were supposed to do, and guess what? You just been served with a lawsuit from the person that bought your house because you didn't do X, Y, or Z. And
and those laws are changing a lot too. And there, things that we as agents, we have to take classes continuously to keep our licenses active, but also because things change so fast. So there's a lot of legalities, like Wayne is saying, that we need to be aware of, that we are aware of, that as a person who's not an agent, a regular seller, homeowner, may not be aware of.
Right.
The way you word a clause can be so taken out of context. You know what you mean, but does the agent or the buyer know what you mean?
Right.
So, again, then there's a lot of lawsuit.
yeah,
that can be
what
open.
contract are you even going to use? The Columbus Board of Realtors contract is a copyrighted document that we have access to, but the general public does not.
And I think too, from the aspect of mediation, like you had said, you want someone there representing your best interests. As the seller, it may seem like an easy thing to do to sell your own home, but there's stuff that comes up that you can get very personally offended by. And even as agents, I think the biggest lesson we learn, and one of the hardest lessons we learn, is it's not personal. Nothing in this business is personal. I'm there to represent either my buyer or my seller, and I'm presenting your wishes and wants to the other party. And I don't know that as doing that on your own, you can be fairly represented. You're just, think about the inspection. If they say something's wrong with your home, well, that's not wrong with my home. I've lived with that for 20 years.
They say that's what's wrong with your home, and then you go to read, that transaction falls apart, and then you relist, but they found these things are wrong. You don't tell the next buyer. Now you've been put on warning that those things exist.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with it? How do you disclose that to the other buyers?
Yeah.
And in addition to that, from the very beginning, one of the biggest things, obviously, we're going to do to sell your home is market it.
Right.
So, and we have
Excellent.
resources at our disposal that's going to give you absolute full market exposure, right? So, if you list for sale by owner, you're going to put a sign in the yard, and, you may find some for sale boards where you'll go post it. And you're going to get a small fraction of the exposure that you would get if you list with an agent. And in this market, particularly, multiple offers are very common, actually. So, pricing it right, getting the opinion of an objective resource or source.
Yeah, because don't think that Zestimate is what it may
You
seem
might as
like
well ask
those
for a
sites
dragon for Christmas.
are giving you that information, and it's a Zestimate, so I'm going to list my price for that. No. Agents
Did
have
you see the reaction
access
when
to that.
Zestimate word came up? Let that be a warning. Zestimate, no.
No, but so point being, and I'm sorry to interrupt it, but the point being, we do have access to a lot of tools, and the area neighborhood values and correct pricing is one of them. So
and I know that there are agents who, if they're talking to their client and the client is like, I like home A and I like home B, what are your thoughts? And if home A is a for sale by owner, there are agents who will steer their clients away from that because it can turn into a nightmare.
Right.
And they'll say, you know what, if you like them both equally, this house could be a nightmare because it's a for sale by owner and they don't know what they're doing. So then you could potentially lose buyers because you're not represented.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The marketing aspect of it, I still go back to probably being key. You want as many potential buyers to see your house, either in person or online, as possible. And if you're doing it on your own, you're not getting that.
Right.
And that's the short of that story. And
Very good.
ultimately, our objective, and we do get paid from this. This is our livelihood. So we can't beat around that bush really. But I truly believe that the value we provide in the course of that transaction is worth every penny.
Absolutely.
And even more because, the value, the exposure, the legal aspects, and the guidance and removing you from emotional. I think in some is what it boils down to.
And understand too, there's money that we're spending out of pocket that you're not going to see in that commission. But as far as the marketing tools, the ads on Facebook, the ads on Trulia, Zillow, that's all coming. I mean, this is a business. This is an independent business. Each one of us owns our own, and we're from that commission. Those things come from that. The open house flyers, the postcards, the just listed postcards I'm sending out. So it may seem like a large chunk of money that you're saving, but that money is well worth the investment that we put into.
How much is your time worth?
Right.
It's going to take you 2 or 3 times as long to accomplish the same thing that we do because we're skilled at it. We're trained in this. So how much time are you spending, and is it really
resources?
And we have the resources to do it. So you're saving yourself headaches and money by just letting us do it for you.
And I've talked to people that have gone through into that point. I've talked to people who did this for sale by owner and afterwards said I will never do that again.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a lot more than you think it is, I think.
So
seems like easy, especially with HGTV.
Oh god.
I think you know how the business works.
We're just
going to
put that in the pot with Zillow.
Yeah, Zillow investment, HGTV.
3 showings and you pick a house every time it works.
That's how it works.
Not quite. So
okay. So moving on.
Yeah.
All right. So now we've purged. We've consulted with our realtor. We've talked about. We've made our improvements, and now it's time to set our sales price. And I think for me, I mean, once that stuff is done, we're going to look closely at the comps in your neighborhood, and we're going to look at the stuff that has sold directly, around you to set that final price. Right. And of course, this is your decision. We'll come back with the recommendation. Now if you go wild and you say I want to price significantly over that, then maybe we're not the best, the best fit.
Yeah. Right.
But in any case, I will gamble in this market on a higher list price some cases because in this market you may just get it, and I'd rather err on the side of too much than not enough. Having that been said, when someone tells me they want to list higher, I do tell them, look, if we're not getting an offer or we're not getting showings in the first 7 days, in this market, that's a signal something's wrong, and it 9 times out of 10 boils down to price.
Right.
So if we list high, then you kind of need to be prepared to act swiftly, or else the house is going to linger, and if it lingers, that's going to hurt your sale price, I think.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I think that one of the things I always tell my sellers is the market is very, very clear about where you need to be. If you're not getting any showings, you're likely priced too high. If you're getting a lot of showings but no offers, you're likely priced too high. So, feedback is very important once you list. And with those higher prices, I mean, it's going to be clear. The feedback that you're getting is going to be talking, again, about location and condition. Ultimately, I mean, that's a very general way to put it, but that's what they're going to be talking about, and we need to make adjustments according to that. So, yeah.
And sometimes the adjustment, if you get feedback, and the feedback is like, the realtors are the one leaving the feedback. I mean, they're leaving it based on their impression and their buyer's impression. So, I'm not saying if one feedback comes back with an item or something in particular that's wrong with the house, but if it becomes a trend where you're seeing multiple people saying that about the feedback, that either the price is too high or the carpet needs replaced, when that becomes a trend, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed quickly. And it may mean we're going to pull this off the market for a week, and we're going to have the carpet put down, and then we're going to do this over. The worst thing I think you can do is let it linger, on the market and not address these things. Never adjust your price. Never adjust concerns, because you're setting yourself up for failure. A stale listing, which just isn't gonna command, what you want.
Or weekly baby drops. You've listed it too high, and you're like, okay, well, every week I'm going to reduce the price by $250, $500, or $1,000. You might as well not do anything, because it becomes just as stale.
Right. Well, I mean, and I see agents do that all the time, where they'll drop it every day by $20. And one of the reasons we do those kinds of things is every time we adjust the price, people who have searches set up in the MLS agents who set up searches for their clients in the MLS, that triggers an alert to those clients that have searches that match your home. So for instance, if your house is a $200,000 house in Worthington, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and an agent set up for their client in the MLS a search that matches those criteria, and your home falls within that criteria, when we adjust price, or pictures even sometimes, an alert goes out to those people with that match.
Right.
So you'll see agents that are continually dropping prices, and it's keeping the listing in front of them. And maybe it works for them. I don't know. My personal feelings on it aside, I think TJ's absolutely right that measure your drops and use them wisely. Maybe baby drops sometimes are the right way.
Can be a good tool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
because you are keeping it in front of the buyers.
Right.
But after a while, after so many of those, it's tuned out. So you gotta just measure yourself, I think, and lean on your agents.
So I'm thinking maybe we should wrap it up. We've been talking a while. I don't know if anyone has any last minute questions. If you want to get entered into that drawing.
Yes.
Drawing for
we're
Wine
seeing a
Bistro
number of
$25 gift certificate.
Live on all three of us.
Yeah,
here.
we've got
So
live.
We've had questions, so we've got people to draw from, but you have really good odds.
We do need to answer one question from last week,
Yes.
though. Sorry, and then we'll wrap it up because I know it's getting a little long. So the question was, and it pertains to both selling and buying, really. When your last child graduates and you want to get out of a tax-heavy area, what area should you look at and still be somewhat close to downtown and also downsizing? I mean, what are your opinions on that? What do you think? I know.
I mean, it's possible. So if you're in a high tax school district, but you still want to be close to that city, you can move just into like the city of Columbus, for example, and still be very close. If you don't really care, you could go further outside of 270 and outside of that loop, or even into the city of Columbus, like if you like a Clintonville, an Italian Village, or a Short North, and you're really looking to downsize and have that type of lifestyle where you don't have to drive everywhere. Those are all options for you, but really you need to get out of that high-tech school district.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what we discussed last week was, what do you envision your lifestyle being? And where does that necessarily fit? I mean, is it a downtown area where it might be a different school district, or do you want to go further out from the city? Which this question doesn't sound like it, but that's always a possibility too. This Central Ohio area is kind of cool. It's different than where I grew up in the Chicago area, because Columbus has a way of sneaking in all the different suburbs of it, and that's usually the Columbus, but the bigger school district is where you might find a bigger tax relief, and still be maintaining a good zip code, or a more desirable zip code, but
you'll hear things like City of Columbus, Worthington schools, or Columbus taxes, Worthington schools, or whatever the suburb is. There are pockets, like in tips on zip codes. So if a zip code generally starts with 430, that's a suburban zip code. Municipality, schools and municipality. Yeah. If it's 432, with only a few exceptions, those are City of Columbus. But you will find, for example, for Worthington, 43235 has pockets that are Dublin schools or are Worthington schools. In Hilliard, this question was specific towards Hilliard. 43228, there are pockets there, and then there's also Galloway, which I can't remember Galloway's zip code, but
43119.
43119. So that one falls out of both those parameters. But in any case, so there, talk to your agent, and find those pockets if that's what your concern is. Sometimes there is a big savings, and sometimes it's not as much as you hope.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I'm finding that a lot of areas are a lot more even taxes wise, where you may think you're getting more expensive, is not. It's kind of evening out with that Columbus thrown in there too. So who would like to wrap it up? I mean, should we cover these 6? We had 6 points making when it comes time to get ready to sell. Let's add 7. Number 1 would be consultant agent. 43 homes. Yeah. You're so street.
I know.
So, do you want to?
Get rid of unwanted stuff and clean your house.
Purge.
Make it showroom ready.
And keep it that way.
Yeah.
So just because you did it up front, once it's listed, it must stay that way.
Right.
You want to read the next one?
Take care of any maintenance that you've put off. If you have been putting off painting and scraping your front door or fixing holes in your walls or anything like that, you have to take care of it now.
Missing shingles,
Yeah.
damaged wood around the house. I mean, your buyer's going to do an inspection. That stuff's going to come up and it's going to come back to you.
I'll often suggest, if I'm going to be your seller's agent, your agent, to have a pre-inspection done, a pre-listing inspection rather done. Let's bring in an inspector, and even though the buyers most likely will still do an inspection and there still will be stuff found, it helps you. There's not going to be that many surprises.
Right.
Get it addressed immediately, taken care of. And
Yeah, I mean, and we all have those things. And I saw a commercial a while back where, you know, to this point where we all have them. So,
Yeah.
you know, just don't put it off anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3.
So we talked about it a little bit
Oh, yeah.
already, but, you know, you're going to consult with your realtor.
Bring an agent in.
Bring an agent in, and I know we keep saying this, but it is important. Consult with your realtor. Let's find out what improvements or, you know, deferred maintenance items are important, and then let's act accordingly.
Next, simple, clean that house. I
Do
mean,
it some more. Once
you know,
you've done
we
it,
know
do it
life
again.
happens. Buyers understand life happens, but there's, you know, with that life happening, there's a lot of stuff that can be updated. It may even be worth bringing in a professional cleaning person to help with that.
Right.
You know, get a once over, real good deep cleaning done. And
Yeah, that deep cleaning will go wonders, and then if
Right.
all you have to do is dust and sweep and mop, your life has become a lot easier.
Yep. And then the last 2 things really is set your sale price and get it listed. I think people throw up mental blocks with all of this, right? I mean, it's a tough thing. It's emotional. You're
Yeah.
selling your long home, your long time home, or even a short time home. I mean, these, you know, our slogan here is it's more than a house. It's more than a house. It's home, and it really
we
is.
understand that.
And, you know, so it's hard for people to make that decision because change is hard. So stop putting up the mental blocks. You're not going to find a better time to sell, and I know we've been saying that, but truly, interest rates are starting to rise. You know, now before the competition hits the market, you know, in the spring, there's a backlog of buyers and people that are looking right now. So
They're ready. Getting ready.
you know,
Yeah.
and I know it sounds self-serving, and I hope you see past, you know, any implication that that's what I'm talking about, because surely if you've been thinking about it, do it, because this opportunity like this isn't going to last forever.
Right.
And you don't want to think, man, if I had just done it back then, maybe we would have got a better price, or this or that would have happened.
None of us have that crystal ball to be able to predict what the market's going to do, but honestly, I don't think any agent in the area would have predicted 3 years of sellers markets at this point. And all signs are pointing to that being the exact same again this year. I mean, at least currently. Again,
there were 4,400 homes for sale.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know the exact number of, but we guesstimate the number of units that could be for sale at any time in this market is probably well over 200,000 homes.
Yeah.
So,
it's time.
4,400. That's all we've got to work with. So we're kind of begging you. We need houses, you know, for buyers. You know, and obviously it's going to work out well for you.
And if you're selling, we're going to help you find the house for you to move into.
Yes. And
that's our job.
Yes. So, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us
Cheers.
here for tuning in.
And
Cheers from
the
Wine
wine
Wednesday.
is a nice touch.
We'll be back. We'll be back next Wednesday at 3:00.
Yeah.
Different location, same time, same day.
Maybe the office again.
You know, we'll find out.
Maybe here.
We'll just have to figure that out.
It'll be a surprise.
Got to tune in to find out.
All right. So let's get it listed. Let's get it sold. Have a happy 2017, and we'll hopefully see you next
Cheers.
week. Cheers, everybody.
See ya. Go turn everything off. We turn mine off.